I will. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the library board meeting. It's 4 o'clock on Thursday, June 10th, 2021. I'm Ruth Ann Webster, serving as chair right now. And because we are no longer under restrictions, everyone is here and everyone is welcome, and I don't have to make any announcements. So with that, we'll call this meeting to order. And the first item of the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Everyone's had the opportunity to look that over. So if I could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have an agenda. Motion passes. Now, similarly, we have the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, and those are on our screens, and we've got those together. So I'm sure everyone's had a chance to review those. So again, if I could have a motion to approve those minutes.
So move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I can second.
Oh, good. Motion and a second. Any discussion, any questions about the minutes of the last meeting? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we have motion passes. We have a minutes approved. Now, we have the financial report. And again, all those documents are before us, and I'd ask the library director to give us some highlights or summaries, and then any questions that anyone has.
Okay, so we are 41.92% through 2021, and our budget is approximately 35.76% expended. Some of the bills that we paid this month included under computer supplies and equipment, for the library standard department header fees for the website, audiovisual supplies. All of Brown County libraries have remitted their overdrive payments, and New Ulm's portion of those fees for the year was $6,140. Otherwise, under subscriptions and memberships, we also remitted an invoice to ProQuest for the library's Ancestry subscription. So those are some of our higher expenditures that have brought us over where we are for the year.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the expenses or the revenue or the fund balances or anything that the library director has reported? All right, then we'll, do we need a motion to receive the financial report? We'll just move on to the next item, which is the librarian's report of the activities and the statistics.
Okay. So patrons are definitely excited to be back for in-person programming. Our memory lab appointments have been picking up quite a bit. The Youth Services Department is preparing for the summer reading program. It starts next week. The theme for this year is Tales and Tales, as in animal tales and story tales. And something I forgot to, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, we do have a contactless sidewalk book sale, weather permitting, during the month of June. So that started on June 1st. And it's a free will donation, recommended what we sell books for in-house. It's just happening on the sidewalk. So that's been going really well.
Good. Does anyone want to highlight anything in the librarian's report? I will note that the library director reports that she met with Sheldon Reiki to discuss the colors of the book spines that will be painted on the library bunker that houses the book drop.
Yes, and they did start this morning.
Oh, they did start.
Started whitewashing at first. They were there like by 8:30 this morning, but left by 10. It was really hot, and they ran out of paint. The white paint, yeah. So they'll be back out more than likely tomorrow before it rains. And it surprisingly, they were worried about how fast it would dry too. It dried pretty well early enough. I guess if once it hits like 85 588. I think they're supposed to stop painting.
Anyone else want to highlight anything in the report?
Yes, I'd like to ask the library director, but I think it was in her report where found that there was a mention of attending some ALA seminars or
Oh, yes.
instruction regarding some program that the
Yes, so
library
yeah, that was a part of the American Library Association's Libraries Transforming Communities. It was a facilitator course that we staff had to take in terms of doing the grant that we received for the American Library Association, dealing with our senior assisted living outreach and the large print books that we're doing. That was a requirement of the grant. And that was really informative. It was really interesting to see and kind of walk through some of the scenarios in terms of doing that.
is that grant, the activities authorized under the grant, that have you begun to get into the senior?
Not yet. I have a book talk coming up at one of the senior centers next week, and then we're planning on doing the rest in July. We're still kind of trying to figure out how that will work. More than likely, April and I are in the process of purchasing some of those large print books. We'll be taking them into the senior centers for checkout when we go, and we're trying to still kind of pin down how that will look like for us.
Good. Did you want to do a separate report on programming?
No, I was just going to mention that that has a list of the programming document has a list of what we have upcoming with it that has been scheduled. But I will note that the poetry group will start meeting again in July, and they meet the second Monday of the month at 6:30. They didn't meet virtually at all over the last year. They chose not to. And as of today, the New Ulm Film Society will be coming back in July as well, and they meet on the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30. Titles to be determined. I haven't heard that yet, what they will be yet.
Well, that's great. So the film, we'll be watching movies in the meeting room
Downstairs, yeah.
again. Oh, wonderful. We're back, folks, we're back. And the summer reading program will be fine.
Yep. So a summer reading program runs June 14th through August 16th. And again, this year we'll be doing a community-wide checkout goal instead of individually signing up children for the summer reading program. So our goal is to reach 30 items checked out of the library in the 10 weeks. And everyone who checks out any item from the library will obviously help us to meet the goal. 3,000 items will be required to be checked out for us to meet it. The youth services librarian and staff have been working on Red the Red Panda. We're going to put him over the young adults section, so when you walk in, you'll see him, and they'll keep adding rings as we reach our goal to him. They'll be doing take and make crafts, STEAM projects for the summer, and there'll be bingo sheets, a downtown scavenger hunt at local businesses, and a chance for kids to fill out different book reviews to gain prizes.
Great.
Any word on what's happening with the U.S. Dakota War Series?
We have one program slated at the library for that, but I don't know at this time whether the Brown County Historical Society will be doing any programs that week. I can check into that.
Okay, good. Well, things are slowly coming back.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
We have one program that we worked with Springfield on. Author Pam Novak will be in the library in August during that week at 12. The library director in Springfield, Linda Roiger, reached out to see if we would want her here. So we booked that quite a bit ago. It was through ACHF funding, Arts and Cultural Heritage funding.
Great. Well, on to the money part.
Okay.
If there's no more questions about the programming or summer activities or things that are going on, or any other comments, things that anyone wants to, lift up in joyful anticipation of a great summer at the library. So, well, on to the money.
Okay.
On to the money. This is our informational meeting because we have to make a decision next month. So, did you want to go over that?
Sure, I can, so attached is documentation to help library staff and the board prepare the 2022 library budget. For some of our newer board members, the city finance office has discretion over some of the line items, most significantly taxes and personnel expenditures. And they're also responsible for budget amounts for computer IT, equipment, building rental accounts, insurance, utilities, things like that. So if you look at the Excel sheet, everything in bold is what the library board can recommend for approval. Beyond that, and for what the library board has input. At this time, the finance director estimates that health insurance will have a 10% increase and to proceed as not to expect an LGA increase. And no decisions have been made about wages for 2022, but the city finance office will assume a 3% increase as part of the preliminary budget. And so in our memo, the finance director is asking all departments to take an honest look at what each department truly needs to maintain the level of services they are providing. And given that, I kind of talked about overdrive a little bit. Our fee for overdrive for all Brown County libraries will be $9,251, and New Ulm's share of that will be $6,919. This line traditionally comes from the AV line item, and I've expressed interest to the finance director to add an electronic resources line item that will be added for 2022. So we don't have that in the budget, but I've talked to Nicole about that.
Well, I just want to make sure that I understand. You've asked that they create a separate line item of electronic resources. And
Yes.
that would include the, tell me what.
It would include, for the most part, ebooks, any
Okay.
electronic books that we purchase for
Right.
the library, separate from AV, which is traditionally audiobooks, DVDs, anything for listening in the library or watching.
And they really are separate items.
They are, yeah, but we've been using the AV budget for that.
And,
Yes, and we would also add Ancestry into the
Oh.
line item, so anything, if we ever wanted to expand some of the other electronic resources that we provide for patrons.
anyone else have any questions? Otherwise, I do want to go through the specifics of your proposal so that anyone who's listening, if they have any input, if they have any thoughts on the way things should go. I do notice that you have very specifically added electronic resources, $7,000. Okay.
And that is for the 6,900 that is the overdrive bill
Right.
for now, and we'll do Ancestry where we have been for now.
And then an additional $5,000 over last year's budgets for books.
Yes.
And cataloging and processing in about $500. Is
Yes,
it?
so that is the fees that we pay Traverse to Sue for delivery, interlibrary loan, and all those numbers. And the Traverse to Sue Library Board approved a 1% increase to their budget of what they would charge us for next year. So I have that number already known of what it will be.
Great. And then travel conferences in schools, and you've been making reports about the various things that you and other staff are learning. Good. And contractual maintenance books.
So that is part of, we reduced both books and contractual maintenance books last year, going from the 2020 to the 2021 budget. And maintenance books is all the materials we purchase to to cover books and the processing of stamping, the covers, things like that.
Okay.
So with the increase in books, we'll need to see, more than likely see an increase in what materials we use to cover those.
Right. And those are the things that we're going to have to make choices on, right? Okay. Anyone else have any questions about that? Otherwise, I would look, I note that you've identified for us, and we don't have to make this decision now, but you've identified for us various things that probably need to be done next year that we're going to be using fund balances for. And some of those, what I noticed is, the entrance doors are probably going to need some work. And
At least the one by the outside book drop, and I've spoken with the IT director in the past about card access with our IDs before on those two doors. So if we were to replace that one, that would be an opportune time to do that work.
Okay.
And especially with COVID, the public restroom faucets to touchless, we have some in the meeting room, off of the meeting room downstairs that you have to hold down and spray quite a bit. So some of that work, though, we can kind of do in-house with our maintenance technician, too, if we just swap out the sinks, which we've done in the children's already this year, which have been great. So those are some ideas. And then I'll discuss further with the finance director, too, in terms of kind of pinpointing down which ones to focus on.
Well, and the carpet system is a phased plan.
Yes, that's the plan. Yeah.
But the other thing that I was interested in was the camera system for the library.
So I reached out also to the IT director, and he is doing a budgetary exploration quote for me on that, just to potentially put some cameras in the building, maybe outside too. And he suggested something similar to what Parks and Rec and Housing have. I'm not exactly sure how much that would run, so I'm gonna see that first, just to kind of keep an eye on some of the floors and things like that.
Okay.
If we do, staff can rotate so much.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Anyone else have anything they want to lift up as far as the things that we're looking forward to in the next year or so for making sure things are upgraded and in good shape?
Well, perhaps just a little background on, with the advent of the 3D printer in the library and the use that is probably going to attract, is there any kind of a budgetary influence that would have in 2022?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Carl? I'm so sorry.
I apologize.
Two over.
With the advent of our 3D printer and the attraction that's going to be for patrons, is there any budgetary acknowledgement of that for 2022 of what the needs might be in terms of maintaining its operation?
At this point, I think we have enough filament and things to get us through potentially next year. Obviously, we'll have to see as we go forth, but at this time, I think we can use some of our special programming budget too for that if need be.
Okay.
And then one more thing, I know I didn't note that in here. We do have one or two of our HVAC units that might be nearing their end of life. They might be over 15. So I may, in next month's figures, that may be in there at least one, just as a precaution. So we kind of expect that.
Okay. And
So the library board must approve a recommended budget at next month's meeting. The budget is due to the finance department by July 31st, and that's a normal yearly occurrence. And then it will be forwarded to city council for final approval.
okay. Anyone else? Budgets. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. And now we'll move on to the action items here. We have three, and the first one is the second reading of an adoption, assuming that we choose to do so, to approve the 3D printing policy. And With everyone's permission, I'll ask that we can waive this second reading, although it is pretty short.
Or, yeah, I mean, you could note the italicized too. So we added, for clarification, 3D prints will be printed in the order the requests are received, with the exception of prints relating to library programming,
Okay.
which will take first priority.
Oh, good, thank you,
Yeah,
I'd forgotten
sorry.
about that. Oh, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, we went through this last time. Is there anyone who has any additional questions about the 3D printing policy? If assuming we pass it and approve it, it'll be on the website
Mm-hmm.
and available for everyone to understand what we're doing.
And I did bring some examples, so, and I got the, so, like the
Oh, let's
Notre
see.
Dame over here took, oh yeah, if you want to grab it, Dustin, yeah. That took about 40 hours to complete, and it's the most intricate one of all the things
my
we've
goodness.
done.
Look at this.
Yeah, so the little steeples and things, but if you obviously read
Oh,
the,
my goodness, I've already broken
Yeah.
a piece off.
yeah, it's
No.
very gentle. We won't tell Leroy.
Oh, my goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then so,
40
like,
hours.
A small batch like this would take about 2 to 3. And then I don't know what this Pokemon's name is. I keep asking. He usually takes 14 hours to make.
Feels like last week, but,
The family crest.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Very cute.
And like the pyramid would take about 10 hours. So that's where we're coming from in terms of depending on the file size and things like that. It does take quite a bit of time, especially if they're intricate.
You want to hold it?
This is what.
Can these items be painted?
Yes,
Or-
that's what I keep telling it, because all the
gift shop.
the prints we've been making are white. They can be painted. Yes, we just haven't done that yet.
So this is Notre
Good.
I'm going to hand
Good.
you like a little, oh, it's from Harry Potter. It's like their house crest.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're having a lot of fun here. That is fun.
Wow, this is, it's
Yeah.
a different
Thank you so
feel
much
to
for
it.
bringing those.
You're welcome.
Gosh, this is
It was hard to pick
Wonderful.
which ones to bring. We have a lot of badges.
Pokemon, right?
right.
And those are the smaller ones.
This is a little.
Oh, I see, now I see the italicized. Yep.
Wow. These are solid, I can't believe.
Right.
So how big can the items be that you print off?
So they can be, they have to be smaller than 11, what does it say? 11 length, 6 inches in width, and 6.7 inches in height.
Costs
Sure.
for folks. And they worked. It's unreal.
I'm going to hand you a pyramid too.
So we haven't done anything like super
3D
bigger than what we have. I think the Notre Dame was our biggest in terms of size.
Well, just in the interest of, full reading, I am going to read what we decided, what we suggested be added
Oh, gotcha.
for clarification. So, I'll just wait for a minute here.
Hot tab one, I know that.
So-
I'm not sure about St. Paul.
So what we added at the very end for clarification is that 3D prints will be printed in the order the requests are received, with the exception of prints related to library program, which will take first priority. And then we also added that before a print can be built, library staff must evaluate the build, both in terms of feasibility, structure, and file formatting, as well as for compliance with library policy. The scheduling of 3D print job requested by a patron is influenced by the following factors, as well as the time of day and the day of the week on which it's requested. A variety of factors can influence how long a 3D print takes to build, including the volume of the object, level of detail, need for temporary support structures, heat settings of the extruder head, and environmental factors of temperature and humidity. In addition, some complex builds require building individual parts separately, resulting in multiple print sessions to complete a single project. Depending on the complexity of the build requested and the other priorities of library staff, the actual printing time of the build, combined with the scheduling of staff in the 3D printer, necessitate a broader time window for when a project will be completed. So that's what was added in order that it's clear, you know, how what promises you can make or you're willing to make. And now that we see these items, I think at least speaking for myself, I think I understand it a little more.
And so we're averaging, at least for now, it's 10 days to complete. We'll see if that fluctuates at all.
Paulina, you said the Cathedral of Notre Dame took 40 hours?
Yes.
During that period of time, are there any other print jobs on the 3D that can occur? Or is it
No, it
totally
solely
locked
does
up?
one item at a time.
So it's totally locked up for
Yeah, for that.
40 hours while that gets printed. So that's 5 days if it goes 8 hours a day for all 5
Yes,
days.
and we have left it running overnight to complete.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and the 3D printer doesn't charge overtime.
No, it doesn't.
No.
No. But also, when we set it up, it does tell us how long it estimates that the completion will take place, how many hours or minutes.
Okay.
Are you comfortable that the fees that we're going to be assessing patrons to use this are going to cover the library's costs associated with it?
I think so at this time, yeah. And we can discuss that later on too, in terms of when we make it available to the public.
I noted
But
that-
I think, and we will let people know how much it will be in terms of, you know, like the Notre Dame, that would be, I have it noted. We were saying pricing will more than likely be $2 for the first hour, regardless of how much, and then $1 for each hour thereafter.
So the little,
So that could be up to
that would
$40.
be- yeah, for 40 hours, it's
Yeah.
not going to be inexpensive. Yeah, but you'll let people know that.
Right.
I noted in the policy that there was a provision in there with respect to someone within the staff reviewing the file to make sure it met the criteria of the policy before they could go forward and start the print job. Are all staff going to be trained, as it were, to review these files to make that decision, or is it just going to be certain staff who are trained for this activity?
It'll more than likely be more than one staff member at the moment. The programming librarian as well as the youth services librarian have been starting most of the prints, but we've been just doing it in-house too. But yeah, the goal will be for multiple staff to be able to start those.
Okay.
Anything else? It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's fun. I will accept I will ask that someone offer a resolution to waive the second reading and adopt the 3D printing policy.
I'll offer the resolution to waive the reading and accept the 3D printing policy as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's right. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, can we call the roll? Resolution?
Do a roll call or do?
On a resolution, we usually should do a roll call. Thank you.
Sarah Berger,
Yes.
Margaret Blomberg,
Yes.
Gabby Budensky.
Yes.
Dustin Souter.
Yes.
Bernice Schmitz.
Yes.
Ting Ting Schwartz.
Yes.
Ruth Ann Webster.
Yes.
Carl Zeidler.
Yes.
Resolution approved. Now, our second action item is something that we really talked quite a bit about, and that is the proposal to change the Wi-Fi hotspot policy to, let's see if I can, to remove a one-sentence provision that says a family cannot recheck out a hotspot for a period of 24 hours to allow other patrons the opportunity to check it out. And so, you know, the suggestion, and we talked about this quite a bit, the suggestion was to eliminate that period of 24 hours for a family. So I don't know if anybody's had a chance to think about that, or if there's something we want to act on. Does anybody have any thoughts? I know there was some concerns about there were some concerns about making this change. I guess that's all I can say. So.
How much demand is there for the hotspots?
Right now, not much. I think I did not look at whether or not they were in today, but on Tuesday, we had 2 in and only 1 out. So, you know, if someone brings it back and if it's available, we were still having that 24-hour for our family. And then I know we also discussed, like, you know, we can renew the hotspots up to 2 times, too, if they bring it back in, and then can take it back out too, potentially. But yeah, at the moment, we're not seeing much traffic. We did talk about it a little bit, some of the staff members, and we think that because of how different this last year has been, a lot of people might have gone and, you know, gotten service too, or, you know, are doing things a little bit differently.
So in other words, what I hear you saying is that looking forward, you think that the demand for these hotspots is going to be going down because people have made other arrangements during this
Potentially,
COVID
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
It definitely, we're not seeing the traffic we have on them, even most recently.
so
I don't know.
and can I have the sense of, is this something that would make it easier for staff not to have to explain to somebody that they have to wait for 24 hours? Is that why you're making
It
that
would,
suggestion?
yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and I assume also that if there's problems, that we meet once a month.
Right, we can revisit.
And
yeah.
we can revisit this, so. All right, if I need the sense of someone to, if they're willing to go along with this change, to offer the resolution to waive the well, I didn't really have to read it, it was a deletion, but to waive any further reading of this change, and to adopt the a resolution approving the updates to the Wi-Fi hotspot policy. So I need somebody to offer the resolution.
I'll offer the resolution
All
to
right.
approve updates to the
Great.
Wi-Fi
Great.
hotspot policy.
Great, thank you. We got it. We have someone has offered the resolution. Can I have a second?
I can second.
Thank you, second. Thank you, Ting Ting. Any further discussion? I think we've talked this over at both meetings. I think everyone has an understanding of it. Then I will ask the Assistant Library Director to call the roll.
Sarah Berger.
Yes.
Gabby Budensky.
Yes.
Dustin Souter.
Yes.
Bernice Schmitz.
Yes.
Ting Ting Schwartz.
Yes.
Ruth Ann Webster.
Yes.
Carl Zeidler.
Yes.
Right, resolution is passed. One more thing, and this sounds like fun. This is, I got to zoom down here. Excuse me, I apologize. This is the first reading of a proposed resolution 2021-16. We're rolling right along, the 16th resolution. And this would approve the expenditure of communications budget line item for logo designs. One of the Assistant Library Director's goal for 2021 is to research and create a public library logo for use by the library. She has dutifully, diligently, I'm sorry about that. She has, I apologize. She has researched local graphic designers who may be of assistance in creating the logo and has been working with the library director and the city manager to meet any guidelines that may be required. The aim is to have a logo that can be used in all the library's marketing, publicity, and branding that will be recognizable to users and other community organizations. The library director requests that the funding for the logo be designated from the communications budget line item upwards of $1,000. This funding would be to contract with a graphic designer to develop and create a logo for the library. So, is anybody as excited about this as I am? Because I think this is really fun.
And the upwards of 1,000, I looked in, and sometimes it could range from 300 to 1,300. So that was a bit of a ballpark.
Did you? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Since it's a kind of an uncertain number at this point, is there any sense that it might be prudent to put out like an RFP?
That was our plan to do that. Yeah.
Would that then dictate how much we should, once we got an idea how much it would cost, would that be the time to authorize the expenditure?
Oh, we could do that as well. Yeah. Sure, we can do that.
Now, well, I'm just, throwing that out. It just seems to me that we're authorizing money. We don't know if it's upwards.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Right. Okay.
Well, from a procedural point of view, do you feel comfortable, having worked with this, that you can bring back the results of this RFP in time for us to vote on this next time? Or if we don't have it by our next meeting, we could table it until...
We could table it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Till maybe August, because
Yeah.
we haven't
Right.
released an RFP yet,
Right.
but
Okay.
we've talked about it.
But I do think what I'm hearing from, what I'm gathering from this request for the resolution is that you really want a message of support from the board to go ahead, So, and do you have any ideas at all about, what you're going to do, or do you want to hold your cards hold your cards a little closer?
It's still really open at this point. We're looking at what libraries in our region have done, what other city departments have done, what the city has in place now, as well as what we could do that would make it New Ulm branded, make it show that it's
Okay.
local too.
Okay. Great. Great. Well, like I said, I'm excited. Anybody else have any questions or concerns? With the understanding that we're not going to go forward without a request for proposal, I will ask that someone would offer the resolution. No, we don't do that, because it's just the end of the first reading. It's the end of the first reading. Then we'll bring it back. If you have RFPs, we'll see it again in August, and otherwise if we don't, we'll table it till September.
Sounds
Great.
good. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That is the end of our agenda. Is there any other business? If not, watch this. If not, meeting adjourned. Boom. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Great.